Skinny Hardaway Southern T, back with another EP. Y'all do your boy a favor, y'all smash that like button for your boy when you roll on in. Whether you're here for a good time or a long time, I greatly appreciate you sliding through. If this your first time, do your boy solid. Don't make it your last time. Hit that subscription button as well. We talk this good boxing, MMA, sports, parlays, predictions every single day, not just today. We here with the boxing week fight breakdown and prediction. We got 5 different cards this week. We got Smith versus Azad. We got Monster Inoue taking on opponent switch Kim. We got Monster Inoue versus Kim. We got Pacheco versus Nelson, and what I think is going to be a low-key banger type fight. And then we got Nigel Lopez headlining the opening ProBox card. So we got a lot to get into this week. Also, we got Eric Priest headlining his own card as well. I think Eric Priest fights on Friday, a prospect card, right? And that card is pretty good in itself, right? So we go get into all of the boxing for this weekend. I'm going to give y'all my most confident picks, and then we go put together some, I'm going to go through every fight, right? Give y'all my most confident picks, and we go, at the end of this, we go through, and we go put us together, you know, some parlays to win us some money. So enough of this wasting y'all time. Let's go and get into these fight picks and predictions. First fight card we got is the Priest versus Howard fight card, and we got Funches, Griffith, Sanchez, Flores, Payton, Valdez, and Eric Priest himself on that fight card. Next fight card, which would be the Monster Inoue fight card. We got Kobayashi, Sasaki, and Monster Inoue himself on that fight card. What I'm doing now is I'm going through each fight card and telling y'all my winners. Third fight card, we got Lopez versus Castillo. We got Valsant on that fight card, Milton, and we got Najee Lopez himself on that fight card. Stay tuned because at the end of this, we go put together some parlays. Moving right along to the next card, we got Dalton Smith versus Utsa. Probably butchering his name. But we got Dalton Smith on this fight card. We got Scoff and Walker to go the distance. Y'all stay tuned. I'm going to give y'all a prediction on that later. And also Motor and Scootney to go the distance. Y'all stay tuned. I'm going to give y'all a prediction on that later as well. And last but most certainly not least, I think this low-key has the chance to be the most exciting fight this weekend, or one of the most exciting fights for sure. Pacheco versus Nelson card. On this card, we got Mercado, we got Andy Cruz. Yes, Andy Cruz is on this card. And we got Pacheco himself. Now, y'all stay tuned because what we getting ready to do now is we're about to put us together some parlays. I got 2 parlays for sure for y'all, and I ain't decided if I'm going to give y'all a third one just yet, right? But I'm going to give y'all 2 for sure, so y'all stay tuned. Okay, now we done got into the parlay portion of the video. This is what I like to call my chalky, locky parlay, right? This is basically, you know, sometimes with fights, you have guys who are favored is so big to win the fights, right? It's not really worth a whole lot. So this is my, these are the guys that I think has the best chance of winning their fights. It's a little chalky, right? But we go do is we go put them together. We go make it do what it do. And we gonna make it worth something, right? So the first thing we got is we got Priest on the money line, Milton on the money line, Pacheco on the money line, and Lopez on the money line, right? So you got 4 money line fights. All of those fights are either minus 400 or above, right? If you're a guy who likes those, you know those heavy favorites. We got Dalton Smith KO. We got Monster Inoue KO 1 through 6, and Cruz and Salcido over 8.5, and the odds on all of those are plus 343. So you can go check those odds out. I think Priest like minus 400, Milton like minus 475, Pacheco like minus 400. You got Lopez minus 900. Smith KO is like minus 500. Inoue 1 through 6 is like minus 500. And then you got Cruz and Salcido to go the distance. That's like minus 240, right? So all favorites, that's what you call betting, right? It's gambling when you take underdogs. It's betting when you have all favorites, even if all of the favorites come together and make a positive. It's still betting when you take, you know, all your favorites. So that's our chalky locky parlay, right? We're betting those. We're betting those favorites. Now we about to get to the value parlay in this next section. And I actually skipped the section moving too fast, so we just go throw it in right here, and then we go continue with the value parlay. My underdog pick of the weekend is Motor over Scootney. I think Motor is just an ultra aggressive fighter, right? I think her gas gonna be a little too much for Scootney. There's a chance that she could stop Scootney, right? And I explain this fight a little later on, you know what I mean, in my breakdown. But my underdog pick is Motor. I kind of just explained it right there, though, you know. All right, moving right along. We're in the value parlay section right now. What this section is, you know, my parlay, my picks for the day. But this is the section where we're going to get the most value for our bets, for our fight picks in this video, right? We got Monster Inoue 1 through 3. You know, we had them 1 through 6 on that last one, so we gonna take them 1 through 3. That's about at plus 100. Smith versus Aziza. I'm sure I'm butchering his name, right? So I apologize, but we gonna take Dalton Smith versus Aziza under 7.5. We got Smith versus KO in the last one, right? This is the under 7.5. I don't think that fight goes past 8. And then we got Pacheco on the points over Steven so-called Nelson, and what I think is going to be one of the better fights this weekend. I don't necessarily think Pacheco stops Steven so-called Nelson. Steven so-called Nelson is coming off a win over a fighter 20-0. People forget that before Steven Nelson got hurt, right, he was kind of on the top of his game. He tore his ACL. A lot of people thought he was done, but he decided to make a comeback. You know, I think it has a lot to do with their Ryder season, right? They got their money out there. You might as well go get you some. But I think Steven so-called Nelson is going to be a great name for Pacheco on his resume. I don't think he stops Steven so-called Nelson, but I do think he wins this fight on the points. So Pacheco decision to round out our parlay, and that'll bring us up to plus 620 on our value parlay. What I'm about to do now is I'm about to explain to you guys why I took each fighter and break down each fight in our parlay picks, so I could tell you fully why, you know, I'm betting on the people that I'm betting on. All right, so what I'm finna do now is I'm gonna explain to y'all why I got each fighter that I'm betting on. In this Priest versus Howard fight, I think this fight is going to start slower early, but I think Priest will control the fight with his jab and his activity, and I think over the course of the fight, he'll just start to wear Howard down a little bit and eventually stop him. But I think Priest gets this win fairly smoothly. We got Monster Inoue versus Kim. Do I really got to explain this? Monster Inoue by knockout. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be early. The next fight we got is Jeremiah Milton versus Stanley Wright. I think this fight going to be fairly interesting, man. We got some heavyweights. We got some fast hand, athletic kind of heavyweights too. I'm going to go Jeremiah Milton in this fight. I think he's just more experienced. I think he's a little better technical boxer as well. Going to be interesting. Jeremiah Milton should win this fight. Confident pick, Jeremiah Milton, and what should be an exciting fight. Moving on to the next fight, we got Lopez versus Castillo. I think this fight is going to be a bit of one-way traffic, you know, in the heavyweight division, in the bigger weight class. You know, they tend to make it, you know, rougher earlier. But I think, you know, once this fight gets into, you know, like the third round, third round, then Lopez is going to take over. And I think Lopez is going to eventually stop Castillo. We got Lopez for the win. All right, and we're going to talk about 3 fights right here in this section. 2 of these fights were 2 of the harder fights to predict of the week, right? So let's go and get into it. We got Scootney versus Motor. My underdog, of course, is Motor. I think Scootney is a great fighter, but while she is good with her hands, her feet are a bit stationary, and I think against a come-forward pressure fighter like Motor, that's going to get her in some trouble. I got Motor winning that fight as the underdog at plus 400. That's my underdog pick. Scarf Walker, another extremely close fight. I think this fight is going to end in split decision, right? So let me tell you that before I tell you who I think is going to win. I think Harry Scarf is going to win with his size, with his range, and his activity he's been in with what I think is the stiffer competition. He's been through some wars, hasn't been stopped. Nobody's getting stopped in this fight. Neither of these guys have a whole lot of power. I think Harry Scarf should be able to pull out a close split decision victory. I got Dalton Smith knocking out Aziza, probably, you know, within 8 rounds. 8 rounds being the longest. Don't see this guy going too far with Dalton Smith due to style of fight. Dalton Smith for the KO before the 8th round. We got Ernesto Mercado versus Jose Pedraza. I almost forgot Jose's first name real quick. I'm tripping. But Shout out to Jose Pedraza, man. Great boxing career, but I think he's a little bit over the hill. I think this is a setup fight for Ernesto Mercado to, have his coming out party. Ernesto Mercado by knockout late rounds against Jose Pedraza. All right, we got Cruz versus Cito. In this fight, I'm going with Andy Cruz. I think Andy Cruz wins this fight points decision. I don't think it's going to be as easy as people think, though. I know Saucedo is a, come forward pressure kind of guy, whole lot of heart, whole lot of relentlessness, right? So he's going to be in front of Andy Cruz all day. Now, maybe if he's too aggressive, right, he gets stopped. But I don't think he's going to get stopped due to, the fighter that he is, the toughness that he has. I think Andy Cruz is more so going to have to keep him up off of him, and I think this fight goes long. We took the over 8.5 in this fight, but I think Andy Cruz wins by decision as well. Last, but most certainly not least, and what I think is going to be one of, if not the most exciting fight of the week, we got Pacheco versus Steven Nelson. Kind of like the Mercado fight. This is also, I think, a coming out fight, but this coming out fight isn't going to be nearly as smooth, right, as Mercado's. He's fighting Steve Nelson. Steve Nelson has been out the ring for some time. He's made 2 ring appearances since then, and he's looked great. Before he left, he looked great. Before he left, it actually looked like he was hitting the prime of his career. Looked pretty unstoppable. Then he tore his ACL, and then he got out of boxing, focused more on, the Bud and Bomac business side, running the gym, being the manager and whatnot. Highly successful at that. He's made his ring return, and now he has his big one, his big fight, Diego Pacheco. The winner of this fight is probably going to be in line for a title shot sooner than later, maybe in their next fight or so. So this fight has big implications. I think this fight, Steven Nelson is a phenomenal boxer. He's a phenomenal boxer puncher. So he has the IQ and he has the savviness advantage in this fight over Pacheco. Pacheco has the size in this fight and he has the youthfulness. So he has a little more power, I think. Steven Nelson is going to break you down over time. So does Pacheco, right? But I think one punch, Pacheco has the more of a one punch, type of power in this fight. I think this is going to be a great fight. I very well could see a stoppage, but if a stoppage happens, it's most definitely going to be late. And if a stoppage happens, I'm thinking that it's maybe going to be Pacheco with the stoppage. Honestly, I don't necessarily see either of these fighters getting stopped. I think it's going to be a boxing match, and I think Pacheco is going to have to dig down deep, really deep. But I think Pacheco will be able to win this fight on the cards versus Steve Nelson. Steve Nelson is not going to be an easy fight at all. Wouldn't even be mad at you if you maybe hedged Nelson with a little something on his own. I won't be doing it, right? I got Pacheco in this. I'm going to ride with Pacheco. But this is going to be a great fight. But we got Pacheco for the win. What I'm about to do now is I'm about to give y'all my recap, and we go get up out of here. All right, about to give y'all my fight winners on the recap. We got Valdez, Priest, Inoue, Milton, Lopez, Smith, Mercado, Cruz, Pacheco, Motor over Scotney is the upset. And then we got Harry Scarf over Conor Walker. All right, and my Chalky Locky parlay is Priest, Milton, Pacheco, Lopez, Moneyline, Smith KO, Inoue 1 through 6, Cruz and Saucedo over 8.5. All right, and just to give y'all a recap on the value parlay, we got Inoue 1 through 3. We got Smith and Ozaza. I'm pretty sure I'm butchering his name, but y'all get the picture. Ozaza under 7.5. And we got Pacheco points decision. That'll get you up to plus 620. So I gave y'all my value parlay. I gave y'all my lowest risk parlay. I gave y'all every fight winner I think, for this weekend. And I ain't gonna waste too much more of y'all time, man. So let's hope we get this thing right, and let's hope we win some money this weekend. It's getting the harder way, TWTea. This ain't the past, this ain't the future, but it's the present. Let's have it rocking, and I'm out. Love.